What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Taurean Reloaded channel. If you are new, please be sure to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to have your bell clicked and have your notifications set to all on here, as well as your mobile devices, so you will be notified whenever I upload a new video or go live. Be sure to like, comment, and share this content on your various social media platforms. So you see the headline right here. And I have talked about this on my channel a couple of times in the past, but now it seems like they're really pushing it even more. And remember what I told y'all, it may have been in a pre-recorded video or may have been in a live stream, how them starting off with just same-sex marriages was going to snowball into other things. This is another one of those things that is starting to snowball into, where it is now come to the point where they are trying to change the terminology of mother, something that has been around for eons, into birthing parent, all because of quote unquote inclusion of the academy. And I won't be surprised if it falls under the category for halty, like something just screams that they're falling in the forefront. But if they're not, the academy as a whole, all for quote unquote inclusion. I kept telling people that intersectionality, that inclusion stuff is going to come back and bite these advocates in the rear end. And it's happening right now. So let me go ahead and read this article. A parent on Thursday claimed that Americans are not ready for the radical agenda of the K-12 cartel after the National Education Association proposed to change the term mother to birthing parents. Keep in mind, these are some of the same people who feel that they should not call it breastfeeding, but they should call it chest feeding, as if men can breastfeed babies. And again, that goes back to halty, because I kid you not, I saw a screenshot. Well, not a screenshot. I made a screenshot of a trending topic on Twitter a couple weeks ago where it said, and I quote, "Why can't men breastfeed?" I'm so serious. I posted it up on my Twitter account and on my Instagram story. It blew my mind when I saw that. I'm like, they can't breastfeed because men cannot produce milk. That's why. Like, why in 2022 are we asking this question? Just like, why should it be called birthing parent? No, only a woman can give birth. Last I checked, that's how it worked. Only a woman of the human species can give birth. I don't think we can put anything past the unions at this point. I don't believe that they represent parents and children and what we need in the future of America. Moms for Liberty co-founder Tiffany Justice told America Reports. Justice claimed teacher unions don't represent what parents and children need. We believe that they don't actually represent the 3 million members that they have in their organization. So while they may not have voted on it, I certainly think it's just perhaps a reaction to the fact that they know how far away they have come from what the American public wants and needs. The National Education Association proposed a resolution that would change the word mother in contrast to birthing parent for the purpose of being inclusive to the academy. See what I mean? You give them an inch, they take a whole football field. A few of them, might I add. All of this to appease a very, 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 very small group. And quite honestly, many of them probably don't even ask for this. So it's like, what is really the goal here? A lot of people who are doing this stuff are trying to get brownie points with a certain community just so they don't look a certain way or they're not called a certain term. Because a lot of the times, I don't believe a lot of the people that they pander to even ask for the stuff that they are trying to propose. Like, this proposal is not only ridiculous, but it's actually very shunning towards mothers. But like I've said, to the women who advocate for the academy the way that they do, y'all had a hand in this as well. And a lot of things, to be quite honest, because how do you think they got into your spaces? Because many of them were, you've seen them as your girlfriends or your homegirls and stuff, and these are whole men. I just did a video about this Hall team member who was married with a whole family at one point, and then one day the switch flipped, and they decided they wanted the transition, and then go on to compete against 13-year-old girls and other minor females in a skateboarding competition and win. Then that ushers in, of course, your Leah Thomases of the world and a whole bunch of other stuff. I told you, it only began with same-sex marriage. And now this is what it has snowballed into. It is now out of control. Pandora's box is open, and I don't think it's going to close back. You're going to have to use a lot of manpower, something stronger than a Caterpillar forklift, in order to close this thing. NEA's resolution, called New Business Items NBI, represent the teachers' union's opinions and beliefs. Many resolutions were voted by the Representative Assembly, comprised of 6,000 educators in Chicago, as well as virtually. The resolution on the language change NBI 63 was ultimately not brought to a vote. Using this contract language, members need not worry about how a board of education solicitor defines maternity leave, mother and or father. The language is an inclusive reflection of how the Academy members build families, the proposed resolution said. Justice said that parents are recognizing that they have fundamental rights to their children. She added that Americans are not ready to get rid of the terms mother and father. So listen to this. Not only is it going after mother, but it's going after father too. Hence why they're saying birthing parent. So it doesn't have a gender attached to it. That's what they're trying to do. At the end of the day, they're trying to go into a genderless society where you're not identified as a boy or a girl, a man or a woman, male, female. They are trying to go into a genderless, pretty much non-binary society where we're all identified as pronouns. That's the end goal. That's the end game. There are many other things that the NEA proposed, and I really suggest that people get out. Look at those proposals, because you will be shocked at what this radical agenda the union is pushing across the country. Now it got me kind of trying to see what else did they propose, because if they propose this, I can only imagine what else they pulled out of their ass. Well, would you look at this? Just a little bit more research, and I found this piece right here that was posted up probably a couple days after the article that I just read from, where it says NEA proposal to replace mother with birthing parent dies. Items supporting abortion access targeting conservative groups win passage. Let's see what they're talking about here. It turns out the National Education Association won't be replacing mothers with birthing parents, at least not this year. It doesn't need to be replaced any year. The nation's largest teachers union said in a Thursday statement that a hot button proposal to swap out the words mother, father, and maternity leave with gender neutral terms in contract language didn't come up for a vote this week at the annual meeting. They knew that this thing was dead on arrival from the jump, yet they kept trying to push it. NBI 63, or New Business Item 63, was not considered on the floor of NEA's 2022 Representative Assembly, said the NEA in an email to the Washington Times. The item sought to change mother to birthing parent, father to non-birthing parent, and maternity leave to parental leave in the name of academy inclusion. The delegates did pass several other left of center proposals, including items on abortion, academy issues, and countering conservative education groups at the assembly in Chicago, which concluded Wednesday. So as you can see right there, that's more of the stuff that they were going after. Hey everybody, I had to pause the video for a couple minutes because there was a storm that was literally passing through where I live at. If y'all heard it at the end before it cut off and cut back on, y'all could probably hear the thunder in the background, but I just wanted to go ahead and make sure that that passed by, because one, I wouldn't want to record while that's happening too, and that's a lot of noise that you would hear. But anyway, it seems to have passed, and I'm about to finish reading up on this article right here. But yeah, you see right here where I left off at. That's their whole agenda right there. That's more additional stuff that they were talking about in the previous article that I just read. So it's not only coming after the mother, it's coming after the father too, as well as some other stuff layered in there, because there's always more stuff on the back end in the small print that you miss out on unless it gets exposed. But let me continue. The successful items included a proposal to spend $140,625 to create and distribute quote-unquote fact sheets about the 25 largest organizations seeking to dismantle public education, including information about funding sources, leadership, and office locations. You cannot put a price tag on truth, said one delegate, according to Education Week. We have to know our enemies. A whopping 74% approved an item to take a public stand in defense of abortion and reproductive rights and encourage members to participate in activities including rallies and demonstrations, Education Week reported. Also winning passage was a $56,000 proposal to quote-unquote take all necessary steps to overturn Florida's HB 1557, decried by foes as the Don't Say Gay bill, which prohibits classroom instruction on sexual orientation and gender identity in grades K through 3. Now you see all the stuff that's wrapped up in this? All of that is wrapped up into this, which I'm talking about right here. Or all those different proposals that was brought to them, either that got approved or rejected. The delegates also approved spending nearly $500,000 to present a unified response to the rise in gun violence and used the words murder and murderer when applicable in reference to mass shootings. Failing to make the cut was NBI 37, which called for the NEA to advocate for a national policy of mandatory masking and COVID-19 jabs in schools. It was voted down by 84% of the delegation. Somehow I'm not surprised by that one. New business items direct the union to do something for a year, but they aren't a permanent statement of belief, said Education Week's Madeline Will. It only takes 50 delegates to move such a measure to the floor of the Representative Assembly. The quote-unquote birthing parent item stoked an uproar after it was exposed Tuesday by Terry Stoops, director of the John Locke Foundation Center for Effective Education, along with a dozen other items up for consideration at the meeting. The difference this year is that the NEA decided that they weren't going to publish their agenda, their words, and make it available to the public. And so that's where I stepped in and I said, I'm going to find this agenda and I'm going to make sure that I let everyone know what the NEA is talking about at their representative assembly, Mr. Stoops said Thursday on Fox's The Ingram Angle. Mr. Stoops said he was locked out of his Twitter account Wednesday for violating the platform's policy against posting private information, which he denies, saying that he obtained the list of NEA proposals from a publicly accessible website. The document is now posted on the Locke Foundation site. The truth is that the NEA bosses wanted to keep its conference agenda private because it laid bare their obsession with social justice and appalling disregard for the need of public school children and educators, he told the Carolina Journal. Mr. Stoops, who said he has appealed the Twitter suspension, said that the business items had little to do with classroom instruction. They seem incapable of talking about what really matters, student learning, Mr. Stoops said. I am comforted knowing that the union continues to lose members, dues, and influence, particularly in North Carolina. The document RA Today, the official newspaper of the 2022 NEA Representative Assembly, listed dozens of proposed business items up for debate. They were introduced not by the NEA leadership, but by delegates or state affiliates. Every year, NEA members submit new business items concerning a wide range of issues, said the NEA statement. Some were intimately tied to NEA operations, and others reflect policy positions delegates would like the organization and the state level affiliates to take. NEA is committed to democratic processes and open debate. These values are fundamental not just to NEA's vision as a union, but to our functioning as a multiracial democracy. The July 3rd through 6th gathering was the union's first in-person representative assembly since 2019. About 4,500 showed up at the event, while 1,500 participated virtually. Well, I'm glad that this person exposed what they were really about to do before it actually got to the point where it could have reached a point of no return. And the crazy part about it is it might actually show up again, and they might reword it a little bit and try to slip it in there in hopes of it getting through. But yeah, I'm glad that this did not go through. It should not have even been brought to the table, first and foremost. But yeah, that birthing parent thing, that's disrespectful to one, the mother that gave birth, and two, both parents who are there raising the child. Like literally, it was trying to take the place of both mother and father and call them birthing parents. Well, they were going to call the mother birthing parent, call the father non-birthing parent. And instead of calling it maternity leave, they was going to call it parental leave, all to appease a very small group of people. Some of which, like I said, probably don't even care. Like many of them, I'm sure some of them or many of them would prefer to still have the title of mom or dad or father and mother, even if they are in, say, a same-sex relationship. I bet you if you ask anybody in that academy, what do they feel about birthing parent? Many of them will probably be just as flabbergasted about it as we are. So I'm like, what is there, like, really, what are you trying to do? And notice, again, it's mainly PC that is trying to push this. I swear, a lot of the ills that go on in this world begins and somehow it just ends. Well, begins, well, hopefully it doesn't end. But it definitely begins, and everything in between is within them. Like, this whole thing made no sense at all, but except to cause chaos. But I'm glad that it got shut down. And shout out to that guy, last name Stoops, that stepped in and risked his Twitter account. They say he got a Twitter suspension because he allegedly violated putting out private information, even though he came back and said that it was public information. And now that he's done that, now this is all pretty much public now, even if if it was private before, which I doubt that it was. But yeah, it's some weird stuff going on. And this was down in Florida. I need to ask was it Florida or North Carolina? I think they said North Carolina. So to my North Carolina subscribers, can you please tell me? Oh, no, not North Carolina. It's Chicago. I'm seeing multiple places. I'm seeing North Carolina, Chicago. I think Florida was mentioned there too. Either way, I just want y'all to tell me, how do y'all feel about this? Especially if you're a parent yourself, a mother and a father. I just need to know from y'all, like, how does this make you feel? I already know. It pisses you off just knowing that they are trying to replace a term that has been around forever, a term that your children have been calling you forever. Like, imagine how that would go. Imagine you in the house and you have your kids there and they don't call you mommy or daddy. They call you birthing parent. I swear, the society we live in this year of 2022 is crazy and insane.